And we'll start with a pledge. And Vicki, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And shall we pray? Heavenly Father, we are grateful to meet freely and discuss the business of Wells County government. We ask for your presence with us, Lord. Guide our thoughts, words, our deeds, that all that we say and do is pleasing in your sight. As we begin the colder months of this new year, we pray for warmth and safety of our citizens. It is more difficult to provide emergency care and protection on cold, snowy days. We offer our thanks and seek your blessing on the first responders and those who drive snow plows to keep the roads open. In your name we pray. Amen. Ted, did you bring this large fan club? I'll turn the meeting over to Beth for the reorganization, as we do every year.
Welcome, everyone. First meeting, council for 2016. And we do need to appoint a president and a vice president, so I would ask if there's any nominations from the board for president.
I would like to make a comment. I would like to see Todd move up to be president. So I nominate Todd.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, raise your hands.
Okay. Congratulations, Todd.
Okay. Now I would also take any nominations to appoint a vice president for the board.
I would like to nominate Jim Van Winkle for vice president.
I will gladly second that.
All those in favor, raise your hand. 6-0.
Okay. I guess I voted for myself.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I will go ahead
Thank
and
you.
turn the meeting over to our new president, Todd.
Well, I'd like to thank everybody for the support and the opportunity here, and especially like to thank Jim Van Winkle for being president since Pete Cole passed away, and he's been president for quite a few years, and we really appreciate what you've done. So.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I was president before Pete, and at one time I turned it over to Pete when he was vice president, and I think it's a good idea to move it around a little bit. So I appreciate you taking over.
Well, that being said, we might as well get down to business. First thing on the agenda is the minutes. I assume everybody's been receiving minutes. There should be two minutes.
Sets,
yeah, 2 sets of minutes from the December 8th meeting and then the December 23rd meeting. At this stage, is there any corrections or additions or comments on the minutes? If not, we'll just have a motion just to cover both minutes at the same time.
I'd move that we approve both sets of minutes.
Do we have a second? All in favor by raising your right hand? Opposed, the same? Next thing on the agenda would be the 2016 board minutes, which we have several of those. I assume that everybody received the sheet from Beth on appointments. I kind of highlighted. I hope I catch all these if I get out of order here. Holler at me because
Okay.
I've tried to highlight them. And according to Jim, he had spoken to several of the past appointees, and they said that they're willing to do this again. So, do we need to have a motion on each one, or can we combine it all?
You can mention all of them and take them all at once.
I'd like to do that. If there's any issues or anything that anybody's opposed, I guess speak up and we'll go from there. The first one here is the Alcoholic Beverage Commission, which is Tony Garden, and that's a 1-year appointment. The second one would be Area Planning Commission, which we've already voted on. We took care of that one before the end of the year. The next one would be the Chamber of Commerce. Vicki, would you still be interested in listening on that? That's for a 1-year appointment. Here's one I kind of questioned was the common wage. Do we still need to have that? I know
Yeah.
the state
Okay.
has changed
Oh,
with
okay.
legislature.
That's right.
So, I mean, do we go ahead and still have somebody there, or do we disband that? I guess I'm kind of curious. I don't know what.
Yeah, because they did change that new, where they don't.
I can help. That committee's just
Do-
non-existent anymore.
That's
Thank
what I
you.
thought. So we can eliminate the Common Construction Wage Committee, which was Jim Oswald.
Yes.
So,
Terrific.
the next would be the economic development. For me, I have issues in the morning, and I was hoping, Jim, that you still may be interested in being on that board.
I
for
enjoy
economic-
that.
Yeah, economic development, and that's a one-year appointment. For the EMA Advisory Board, traditionally it's been the president of county council, which I can do that. That's not a problem if you're okay stepping down from that, Jim.
Yeah, you say the EMA is
Yeah,
one,
EMA.
it's in the bylaws.
Yeah,
For you
okay,
to be
okay.
there.
And also the EMS board, which traditionally you've been on, I'll go ahead and I can accept that position.
Yeah.
That's a one-year position also. Let's see, Huntington City Town Library's been, that's
Yeah,
an
they don't,
extended.
those don't.
Yeah,
go
that's
at the same
extended. So,
time, yeah.
the Property Tax Board of Appeals, Judy Affolter has been the appointee on that in the past, and according to Jim, she's willing to do that again. So that's a one-year appointment. Regional Sewer District, we have in the past, we've had Sandra Houlihan and Leon Burning as our representatives, and I was told they're interested in continuing that.
Yes.
And that's a
4 year.
is it four-year term. And then on the Solid Waste District Committee, Chuck, are you still interested in staying on that? Okay, that's a annual appointment. So that should be all that I have
Yeah, it's all.
of appointments. Any concerns or questions on any of the appointees, or any other council members have any comments? If not, we'll make a motion to accept the appointees for 2016.
I'll make a motion to accept the designees that we just talked about.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, vote by raising your right hand. Carries. Okay, we have appointments. Monty, would you like to have the floor?
Good evening, everybody. We have 78 inmates this morning, and 5 are DOC. You have our December monthly report and our year-end report. The back of the reports we put kind of show you what percentages went up and what we had go down on calls and that. But gladly that luckily the holidays were fairly quiet. Even the snow Monday we lucked out and didn't have too many slide-offs and that. So that's all I have.
Anybody have any questions? Or?
Okay.
Thanks, Monty.
Thanks, Monty.
All right, we have the animal shelter. Mayor Ted Ellis and Nathan Huss. Come up to the table.
Never hurts to bring a guy with a gun.
There you go.
I have a city council meeting, so this will be very brief, and I just wanted to bring some information to you. As you're all aware, we split the expenses for the animal shelter between city and county. The way that's calculated is the city pays all the expenses. Then at the end of the year, we take the total paid, subtract the fees received or any receipts to the animal shelter, and half is yours and half is ours. We're kind of getting to the point where it's getting tougher and tougher for the animal shelter personnel. We have 3, including the director, to meet the standards that the Humane Society holds out for animal shelters. And a lot of that has to do with not so much the number of animals they've got, but the time that's involved, and they're subject to constant interruptions. And when we started looking at this, we started looking at what would it take to justify one more person out there. And the more we looked into the numbers, I think the most obvious solution to begin with is maybe to cut the office hours or the hours that the shelter is open. Now, that doesn't mean people are going to work any less, but when they're doing things like euthanasia, when they're doing some heavy-duty cleaning and disinfecting of the pens and things, they need to be left alone to get the job done, as opposed to having to stop. Somebody brings an animal in, and they have to do that. So what I've given you is about 12 years' worth of just data across the top there. And those are right from the annual report that the animal shelter brings to us. And you can see there's kind of a bubble there. The usage went up, or the number of animals touched went up, and about 7, 8, and 9, and it's backed off. And the prevailing thought is that they've been very aggressive at spay-neuter, and they think maybe that's cutting down on the number of animals. How do you prove that? I don't know. But anyway, as I say, we looked at probably the first line of defense against having to hire somebody else out there is to look at hours. And Tina was very good in calling the surrounding counties and the surrounding shelters, and that's the data in the box that you see as to what hours they're open and how that translates to how many hours a week. And you'll see that Bluffton-Wells County Shelter is open 41 and a half hours a week, and that's almost double what anybody else is open. So I think the first line of defense is not to add people, but see if we can give them some quiet time to actually get some of this behind-the-scenes work done, and see if that won't work. That's also the easiest to reverse. I mean, I know anytime we close something, there's somebody that'll show up at the doorstep 5 minutes after we block the door and wonder why they aren't open, and then they'll call their council members. So I wanted you to be participants in this. My next stop is the commissioners, and let you know, and we're kind of all in the same boat here. But other counties, other communities, including Fort Wayne and Marion, have far fewer open hours than we do. So to say, if I'd like to try some of that, play around with the hours, and if we get too much pushback on that, that's easy enough fixed by changing the sign on the door. Nathan, the chief of police, has jurisdiction over the animal control and animal shelter, so that's why he's here tonight. I hope I haven't stolen your thunder.
No, the only thing I would add is obviously the city wasn't going to make any decisions with hours or personnel without consulting you all, because it is financially taken care of by both the city and the county, so that's why we're here.
Do you have a target as far as hours, or is it very flexible and you're just going to see what works?
We're real flexible right now. Say we wanted to run this by you folks, and if you decided, no, we'd rather spend the extra money and hire somebody, then my next stop's my city council to see whether they think that's a good idea. But, excuse me. But, no, I think we can trim back or benchmark something. I certainly wouldn't want to go below 25 hours for starters. And as I say, knowing that there'll be somebody show up when they're closed, but by and large, everybody else is doing it. It's what you get used to. It's like the recycling center and so many other things that people understand.
Ted, are there certain times a year that it's more busy there than others?
I don't know. I would refer to the chief there.
But I asked Tina that question. Tina is the director of the animal shelter, and to put your finger on a certain day of the week or time of the day or season or month, you really can't, because the minute you say that's a quiet time for the shelter, something happens and they get busy. There may be an incident where the court orders us to take custody of a large number of animals, where typically that's a quiet month. Well, that really skews the numbers. So for us to say that,
you don't see a current pattern. It could be random.
No, does the animal control or the animal shelter, do they handle big animals too? Large animals as far as,
We currently
if there's
have custody
situation?
of a horse.
Yeah, something of that sort.
Yes.
That falls under that group too. I noticed
Yeah.
the mileage in 2014, not that it really jumped up there
Yeah.
of outside the city of Bluffton, I assume is what it's meaning there with
Yeah.
those miles.
What I thought was remarkable when I put these together is it's remarkably consistent up
Yeah.
until that point.
Yeah, all at once.
That's all I did was divide the number of outside the city runs into the number of miles that they logged, and it comes up 21. Just
I was curious if 2015 was following that trend of 14, or if it was an anomaly.
I haven't seen the numbers,
I see.
so
It looks like the expenditures were still climbing, so.
That's what I was
that's
curious.
mostly wages and
Wages,
fuel. And,
yeah.
yeah,
Okay. Well, I guess at this stage, you're
not looking for a decision. Just
Yeah,
wanted to give you the
just
information.
information, sure.
Talk it over and ask whoever you asked. And might and once this hits the media, sometimes we'll get some feedback that we haven't thought of. So we're not in a big hurry, but we need to start doing something here.
Just a small request, would you pass it on to Tina also, maybe give some thought to volunteer at the front desk or something like that? I know that there's a group that supports the shelter. I think maybe volunteers might be able to assist, but there again, that might be a whole new complication thrown into what you're working with now.
Sure will. We depend on the Friends of the Shelter to help out already, too.
Thanks.
Say we just.
If I can have a follow-up
Sure.
comment to your question. Large animals, the shelter is not designed or built for anything other than obviously dogs and cats. So, for example, the horse that we have now, other accommodations have been made. That horse is boarded somewhere else, but obviously we're in charge of the care and the expenses of that horse. But larger animals are not housed at the animal shelter. It's just not set up for the
Sure. All right. Any other questions from council?
Thank you. I've got some extra handouts, and I'll leave them back here. There certainly aren't enough for everybody here, but
There's
Okay,
a
it's
question.
Monday through Thursday, 9 to 5:30, and Friday is 10 to 5:30. It's not, doesn't
Yeah,
say
they're-
Friday, but I'm
Oops.
assuming that.
That's my
It's supposed to be
error.
Friday.
Yeah.
That's fine. I just wanted to make sure. 'Cause
Good. Thank you.
All right.
Talk it over. We'll probably be back to.
Enjoy your next meeting.
Thank you.
There's some people still out there in the hallway. Would there be some more seats? Would you like to come in? There's some other seats in here.
There's a chair there and two over there.
Yeah, and there's a couple seats over here.
And a couple more, so it's
Yeah. There's one in the back if you'd like to. There's two in the back. There's two in the back if you want to use them. Okay, next on the agenda, we have the wheel tax, and we have Todd Fichter here to discuss that. Welcome.
Thank you. Got a handout off the handout.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. Here before you start, Todd, I seen in the agenda that you were coming in. I thought it was interesting. I think all the county council members received the Indiana News. You received that in the mail. I caught this in the information on the new federal transportation bill, and something that just for informational purposes, it says here in Indiana, counties own over 12,400 bridges. Now, they don't discuss whether they're what span of bridges or whatnot they are, and maintain nearly 70% of all the public roads in the state of Indiana. So I guess when you look around, you look at the interstate systems, state highway systems and whatnot, you see the miles, but when you come to the counties, every square has a road coming around it. So I thought that was interesting that we do maintain that many miles of road, miles, but in the percentages of it. So.
Yep. I'm just, I guess, introduce myself. I'm Todd Fichter. I'm from the southern end of the county. And just to kind of preface what I'm going to talk about here today, I'm not here to criticize the Highway Department, Wells County. I think Ed does a good job. I think our roads are well maintained. So I'm not here to be critical of that. I kind of wanted to talk, I did some research on the wheel tax and kind of when it was put into place and what for. And I kind of wanted to cover a few of those points. And mainly because, it was close to 10 years ago. A lot of you weren't here. So just kind of a refresher what it was for. The first page here is in 2005, the commissioners asked the county council to pass a wheel tax, which the money could only be used to pave or repair roads. So that was the initial point of what it was going to be used for. In 2005, the county was able to pave, and when I say pave, I'm talking about convert from gravel to hard surface, not necessarily.
Sure.
So I want to make that clear. They were able to pave 11.5 miles before the wheel tax was in place. On December 6th, the county council asked the commissioners if the highway department had enough manpower to do more paving with increased funds. So, they were saying, you've paved 11.5 miles, you're asking for a wheel tax for increased funds, do you have more manpower to do more? And the response was, the commissioners responded by saying the department has more efficient equipment now and has not reached the limits on its ability to do more. So, December 22nd, 2005, the wheel tax was passed by the county council, and the county began collecting it January 1st, 2007. So, as you can see the list there, as of to date, they normally collect around $300,000 a year. The 2015 number is current up till about 3 months ago. I didn't have those numbers, so we're about 2.9 million, probably close to 3 million if we count those 3 months. And in the past 7 years, Wells County has not converted a single mile to hard surface. And that's Ed confirmed that, and also that was in the minutes of the commissioners' meetings.
And something else just to verify to everybody, when we talk about paving, it's chip and seal. It's
correct.
Not hot mix paving, so sometimes that gets confused to some people. So.
The next page is newspaper articles of the minutes from 2005 when this was put into place. And I'll just read the dialogue between Pete Cole and Randy Plummer. It says, Council President Pete Cole asked if the Highway Department has manpower to do more paving with increased funds. Plummer explained the department has more efficient equipment now and has not reached the limits on its ability to do more. And it says they paved 11.5 miles in 2005. So just kind of to verify the information I presented you. The second page is just what's highlighted, that the money can only be used to help pave or repair roads, is the only thing that the wheel tax money can go for. The third page is the Wells County Highway year-end account balance. Started in 2005 with about $250,000. It's bounced around up until 2010 or 11, in that $200,000 to $400,000 area. The past 4 years, 2012 it was $330,000, 2013 $594,000, 2014 $961,000, and this year, the Highway Department ended with a balance of $1.1 million. I guess that I'm not exactly sure, and maybe Ed could shed some light on this. Why that balance has continued to grow like it is without spending money on. That was kind of the first responses I got from the commissioners is, we really don't have money, and I realize it has to be appropriated for the right, for the right purposes. But I also know that, I watched some of your meetings online, and Ed was here in maybe April to transfer $200,000 out to a bridge, which is fine. But I'm saying those transfers can be made if the county sees fit to move those out of the general fund into a chip and seal or whatever they want to do with them. The next page is, this is just a graph of the wheel tax, surtax. It's continued to climb kind of gradually over the past 5 or 6 years, just kind of a visual. The graph below is the motor vehicle highway distribution, and I was only able to go back until 2011 with this. The Gateway website wouldn't let me go back farther, and the State Board of Accounts was kind of confusing to look at theirs. So, but that has continued to grow too. In 2011, the highway distribution was 1.8 million. 2014, it's 2.5 million. So, I know the comment's been made that the state has cut money different times. That could be previous to 2011. But as far as I could tell on the State Board Accounts website, the receipts from the Wells County Highway Department are more than they were any of those previous years. So I don't think that's a valid argument as for right now. There probably was a dip back there somewhere.
I'm just curious on motor vehicle highway distribution. That would be local road and street and motor vehicle highway both, right?
I don't know.
I'm looking at, I don't know where that number came to, but
This
those
is
are the
just.
two
This is just.
sources.
I got one for you too,
The
Beth, if you
surtax.
want. This is just the highway, the county highway. This is not the city.
Yeah, I understand that, but there's
Okay.
the motor vehicle highway, those come from fuel taxes. And I just, when it says motor vehicle highway distribution, I just assume it comes from both.
I think
Sources
it's just
of-
going to be the highway fund is what you're getting at
Yeah,
out of
with
it.
that. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same
Yeah.
total.
I
Not
think
that total.
mainly if you would add that number plus the wheel tax, that would be about what the highway fund brings in. Plus, there might be some other grants or other things on top of that. So, one of the next page is just an oil graph of crude oil, 2006 to 2016, and I realize that it's not a direct correlation, but that said, I do believe it's cheaper. The products are cheaper now than they were, 3 years ago to chip and seal roads, at least the oil products. And the other argument that's been made is the cost of stone has continued to go up, which could be true, but I'm in the process of trying to chip and seal 1200 South with private money, and I had a bid from Rock Creek Stone Quarry of $450 a ton for the base stone, which is cheaper than it's been in the past. I don't know how many years, 10 years. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. When they say base stone,
53s and 73s.
okay, on Morstan.
Yep. Now I know that the highway department has made they're doing a half a mile of 1200 South, which I'm paying for personally. The materials cost, the county's doing the labor, and they've also done 700 West. Is that correct? Both of these projects, they use stone from IMI in Montpelier. The price was close to $8 a ton, and I realized that the trucking is farther from Rock Creek, but the savings per mile would have been over $25,000 to come from Rock Creek, which is in Wells County, and you can do a lot of trucking for $25,000. So, I offered the county to share in 50% of the cost for 1200 South, up to $40,000. And I just feel like if it's a priority in the county to improve our roads as far as to hard surface, these are offers that the county ought to take. You know, 1200 South might not be the most important road in the county to pave. I'm sure it's not, but I'm pretty sure it's the cheapest right now, and I'm sure it's I think it's in the top 10%. As far as, there's 3 houses, there's a lot of traffic, and I'm not here to talk about my road. This is an example.
No, that's fine. That's understandable.
I did get a letter back from the commissioners, and these are quotes from them. It said, we have no real formula, and we are struggling to devise a plan how to best convert stone roads to chip and seal. We feel that until adequate fund balances increase or funding sources are utilized to their maximum, that converting the stone roads to chip and seal may stay the same. So I guess I took from that they don't intend to really do more chip and seal roads or convert more roads to hard surface.
I'm curious with your road being just the half mile, and Ed, you might be, when a private owner pursues that, do you do easement purchases and things of that? I know when Larry Owens, he tried to buy right away and things of that sort, and redesign the ditches and whatnot. Is that still done in this same?
Yes.
If a private citizen does it or purchases it? Okay.
These are just a couple of the points I had. I guess I believe if it's the policy of the county with over $1 million of unspent funds in the highway fund, if it's a policy of them not to chip and seal roads or to improve them, I don't know that the wheel tax is needed anymore, just because the account balance is growing so much. And if the wheel tax is left in place, I know that the commissioners decide where to spend the money, but the county council approves the budgets. And you could ask for a line item on those budgets of designated money, for hard surfacing roads. So,
I know in the past we've pretty much obviously left it up to Ed and the commissioners, because I think, Blake, don't you pick parts of the county, each commissioner in each district, basically?
Each area, if there's people that request, it's passed on and then prioritized by the population, the amount of houses that are on a current mile, how they access to arterial roads that, are main thoroughfares, 300 West, Cable 1, things like that.
Because I know with since I've been on council here, 7, 8 years, pretty much that was right in 2008, right when oil was up to $140 a barrel and whatnot. And I know, the price of it just skyrocketed, and I know at that point in time, pretty much everything just went to trying to maintain what we had. And I don't know at this stage if Ed and Blake, if you would like to come up and comment.
We've got a little bit of information. I don't know. I mean, it's just for information's sake,
sure.
But we would like to give you where we've been, and we've got a chart.
Sure.
And,
that's fine. Well, why don't
we've got a chart where all that crude oil and stone prices,
Sure.
At one time.
Yeah, well, why don't we, if the easiest way to
half the price we could do it 5 years later.
If you'd like to just bring another chair up, we'd like to do that.
Okay.
We'll just do it that way. That'd be easier.
grab one of these.
This is pretty much the end of your presentation.
Yeah,
right?
the last one is just the tactical
Yeah.
hand of when it needs to. That's just no problem.
Get your papers mixed together there.
Well, how are you? Good.
If you don't mind, yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, the paper I gave you basically goes back to 2007, shows you the MVH from 2007 clear through 2015. But I'm going to go back a couple of years before that. Basically in 2004, our MVH funds were $2,061, $2,061,000. In 2005 and 2006, them funds started going down because they used to fund the state police. They got their divvy out of our gas tax money first. Well, they took out an extra $15 million in 2005 and an extra $17 million in 2006.
Across the state, you're talking about?
Yes, across the state. That affected everybody as far as
every county.
They took the cream
every
off
money
the
and stuff
top
like
and
that.
then-
So
Right.
in 2005 is when the council and staff says, okay, if we're going to start losing funds, we have to get some funds somewhere just to maintain roads.
And that's why wheel tax was
That's why the wheel tax was implemented in. And then in 2007, they went down again, 1.9 million. 2008, they went down to 1.8 million. 2009,
still the same.
yeah, 1.8 million. 2010 was finally the bottom. It went down to 1,789,000. So we were down about $300,000 from what we were before. Okay, if you want to look on your second page, this gives you a synopsis of what it cost us to maintain the roads during this time that the funds were going down. But we were collecting wheel tax too. In 2006, we paid 95 cents a gallon for our oil. The 11 stone was anywhere from $8 to $9.30 a ton. Depends on what stone quarry you hauled out of. It cost us about $5,400 to do a maintenance seal on a road. Then the price jumped. The next year it went to $1.24. It stayed there for 2 years. 2009 it went to $1.73. 2010 it went to $1.62. And your stone prices continued to go up. 2011, $1.68. Finally, in 2012 is the most we paid. It was $1.82 a gallon. So we basically doubled the price of our oil. At that time, the price of stone was between $10.20 and $11.25 a ton. So it cost us about $9,400 a mile to do just our maintenance seal.
6 years previous was $5,400.
Yes.
So
we're talking $4,000 a mile
extra per mile.
We average about 70 miles a year. That's an extra $280,000 just to do our chip and seal maintenance. That doesn't mean the extra cost, because I also put out the side the cost of the 73s and stuff like that for what we haul on the stone roads, which went up too. So that cost went up too. So we started coming back down. 13 we were down to $1.76. 14 we were $1.69. Last year we were down to $1.45. The reason we were down to $1.45 was we had a oil company out of Indianapolis that got real aggressive up in this area, and we actually had a bidding war. I was about 15 cents cheaper in a lot of the counties around here because I wait till the end of the year, till about May. I'm one of the last counties to bid because you usually get a little bit better price, but not usually 15 cents. It might be a penny or two. So Todd had his information right as far as my balances in the MVH fund. Usually between $300,000 and $400,000 is what I usually end up with. In 2013, that's when the legislators changed, and they took the state police out and the Bureau of Motor Vehicles. So actually in August of 2013, we started getting extra money. So from August to the end of the year, that money was not in the budget for 2013. Correct. So that's why that balance jumped up so much, because it basically just stayed in my highway fund.
And they said it was going to be 2 years.
Yeah, they originally said it was going to be a 2-year deal. So, and it was too late to increase the 2014 budget. So in 2014, our budget stayed about the same, and that's why the balance grew again. So we moved some things around because we used to do some of the chip and seal all of our local road and street fund, which is an extra fund that we have and stuff like that. So whenever we started getting more MVH money in, we moved that to paying everything out of my highway fund. And then, of course, last year we took some of the excess money that we had to do some bridge projects, small structure projects, stuff like that. That's actually in the budget again next year. Next year the budget's going to be like $3.1 million. So part of this balance will have to be used to fund my budget next year. Not all of it. So I guess that's a synopsis of where stuff's went, how stuff went up, and where the wheel tax has been used basically to spend to maintain our roads because our oil prices were so high.
You pretty much ate it up during that time
Yes,
frame.
yes.
And I was curious, do you have a reference to the cost to maintain a gravel road per mile on here?
I don't.
I was going to say most of that would just be some stone and grading, basically.
Yes.
More of a labor type.
Not even a guess, $1,000 and $2,000?
Without putting the figure to it, I'm not even going to say.
We've got some roads that we do a couple times because we have damp weather and we have manure hauling, and they might get 6-7 times graded, where other ones will get once or twice.
But by far, maintenance on a gravel road is typically less than maintenance on a chip and seal.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I've yet to find a county adding a percentage of more chip and seal roads of the people I meet in the state. They're mostly converting the chip and seal back to stone roads just because their funds haven't. Now with this bump, who knows what has happened in the last 12 months. But
So the cost to maintain, you said $8,000 in 2015.
Right.
That would be divided over 6 years, 7 years.
6 to 7 years.
So it's approximately a little over $1,000 per year.
Probably.
To maintain.
But this cost here is just the materials cost.
Correct.
That is not the equipment and labor and all that stuff. That is
Right.
just the materials cost.
Sure.
So
As far as, would you have any approximation of how many how many miles of gravel roads we have versus hard surface roads?
we have 235 mile of stone roads
Of stone roads?
out of 711.
Okay. You said 235?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, what, 30% of them are gravel, pretty much?
Probably.
Is that right there? And some of the monies of the carryover here are going to carry over into next budget year? Is that the way I'm hearing it? And to help your balance?
Probably part of that balance will have to be used to fund my budget next year.
Because I know going forward, it's still confusing on this federal highway bill, and if that's going to come down to us at the locals, and also wasn't sales tax? Was that a year ago? The legislature released some of.
We get 1 cent of the sales tax.
sales
Yeah, I
tax,
thought that, yeah, I
one
thought they-
cent of that,
Yes.
7%.
Because obviously that conversation is going to come up in this
Yeah.
upcoming legislature, because I hear that that's a very big topic that's going to come up of how to.
1%, 7%.
And at our commissioners' conference, I don't know if Blake was there or whatever, we had a Senator Soliday, which is the head of the Transportation Committee,
I was there.
okay, and spoke. And basically, the thing that they're saying is, okay, we gave the counties an option of how to raise their funds to the wheel tax. And for the counties and the cities and towns and stuff, to get money and probably in the future, you will have to max that out, or at least adopt it. There's 48 counties in the state that have the wheel tax. And if you don't have it maxed out, we're probably not going to give you any extra money.
That was a topic of the mayor's commissioners, and I believe I brought that up a month
Yes.
ago. That's
So, I mean,
You
nobody
know.
likes a new tax,
Yeah.
but
One point I didn't make is, I know there's a lot of counties with the wheel tax, but there's 4 surrounding counties around Wells County that don't have a wheel tax. So it's not that everyone has it.
name of the 4.
Adams is one, but I don't
Adams
know
is working on it.
Yeah.
And they have more.
I don't think Blackford does. Huntington
Blackford has it.
has it.
Huntington just put it in.
Huntington
Just put it in. Okay. I looked at the
Willie
reporting
Noble.
in
Steuben
2014.
doesn't.
and they hadn't; those counties hadn't reported anything in 2014.
Right. Yeah, we're I can still say we're the only one with only a seated tax. We have no bridge, and we have no cap.
This Grant,
Yeah.
Catholic, the Grant County.
Yes, they have oil tax.
Well, any further questions for the gentleman at this stage? Or?
I would just like to make a point that obviously this new tax, as it was put in back in the day, its objective was to convert roads. And I think it's a nice option that we at least explore that further. It's a tax that was imposed. And as I said, it seems to me there's reason to want to have a tax for better roads. The objective is to improve roads, and I'd like to see that we allocate that money to do so. I think there's an array of people here. I suspect they're all here for that very tax, and they're here to see that we do something with that money in that sense. So,
I would echo Mike's sentiment. We took one small step forward. Let's get the ball rolling. Some measure of advancement on the project.
I've had a couple people give me a couple, I guess, prime locations, ones that have 6-7 houses, or one that has 5 houses on a particular mile that deserve credence going to another, paved road, and we have to give it that type of view, where it's, in proximity wise, but that's in the pipeline. From the time you have the idea to put it in action, it will take a few months. So,
yeah, I think we need to have a plan of some type. I think a plan would be good, because I do think that, if we raise all this money, and I do know that it goes quickly when you're using the stone and you're using the oil, but I do think we need a plan so that we are making improvements on a road, and, if chip and seal is what we think we need, I think. And I don't know who makes those, if it's just the commissioners that have their own little meeting and decide that. I know that Ed would be very good to have all that information too, but I feel like we are raising a lot of money and we need to make those improvements, and however they might be small improvements each year, but I think we need to have a plan to do some of those things.
Great idea.
I'm curious.
We do have $200,000 that you guys approved this year's budget for road conversions, and that's in local road and street.
I'm curious to know.
That was part of that budget.
When we're talking here with wheel tax and whatnot, as it comes into the pool, bridges are also included there, right? I know that's always been a funding mechanism through CEDIT and whatnot.
Yeah, CEDIT is bridge money.
CEDIT is bridge money.
But for small structures and pipe and things, that's coming out of.
Yes, that's where we took
right?
the $200,000 last year, and that's where we got it in this budget this year. That's actually in the highway fund.
Because we obviously have infrastructure that's gotten to that stage. I know you guys have been trying to pursue that angle.
Drainage is important. Roads are important.
Right. I think it's going to be very important for. I know you're in the works of it with a county engineer to be able to maybe organize. I know when Ed and what he does as far as when you start picking these roads that you want to try to go from gravel to hard surface, that obviously with making sure the ditches are taken care of and also the easement, because some of these are pretty narrow areas.
Right.
And I'm assuming in the past Larry handled majority of that, didn't he, with going out and pursuing those? Because that also can make a time or make choices of which roads you're going to do first, because some of these easements can get difficult with, as Ed knows, trying to work through those
dead
hoops
people or misspelled names and
Colorado.
Yeah. So, okay. Any other questions for council?
I have a question.
Sure.
My road, I live on 700 east between 1100 north and 1000. And the farmer had to put a new field tile in, and as far as I know, he paid for it himself. A lot of that mud ended up on the road, particularly right in front of my house, because he put the tile right through my yard. In front of my house, there's really not that much stone. And after a rain, it never fails. They come and grade it, and it turns the road to mud. Is there a logic for grading roads after a rain? Can somebody explain that to me? Because it's really a mess.
Yeah, I think that's something you would need to talk to the highway
I mean, I could
personnel
use, in front of my house, I could use a couple tons of stone because it's mostly mud right now.
Sure.
It has been since April.
That's something you may want to contact the highway department, and they can try to work
But,
through on that.
To my knowledge, the farmer, Cliff Book, he paid for the entire tile to be put in,
Yeah.
and I know that costed him a bundle.
Yeah. Like I said, you may want to contact the highway department. Hopefully they could work for you on that.
Can I say something? I live on 800 West, and we've had wrecks on there because of all the loose gravel, like you were talking about. The farmer comes by and just grades it up, and the stone is so thick that we've had kids crash into pools out there on 800 West. And they could have got hurt really bad, but I don't know why the stone has to be so thick. I just wish they would chip and seal it. It's only like about a mile. We have 5 homes on that, from the Meridian to 800 East.
Well,
Too much, not enough.
Yes, Sandy. Sandy had her hand up.
Oh, have you ever done anything with a escrow program? Our former home, we all put money in escrow, the landowners on the road, and then that moved to a priority. The more money that was in escrow,
So you were going with your other neighbors, getting with all your neighbors and putting up a funding
petitioned because
mechanism?
it was a county line, Allen and Wells. So we carried a petition both sides. We all put money in an escrow account to pave that road. Then they moved those to the top of the priority list that we're going to have help with the cost.
Yeah,
And I didn't know if you had ever.
I don't know if Ed has ever dealt with that or not. That'd be something you'd have to contact Ed on.
Well, I thought,
Yeah.
maybe you
No,
knew
understand it, yeah.
from prior.
How long ago?
I'm a mail carrier in mostly Allen County, and I live in Wells County, so not to say anything against the county I live in, but they have chipped and sealed many roads that I used to travel down that were gravel. But maybe they have more money to work with, I don't know. But I inquired with some neighbors that were on Zubrick how they got their section done, and they said that all the neighbors put in the money to do it, like Sandy's kind of suggesting. Well, when I inquired about my section of road, I'm the last road before county line, 1150 North, and when I went to go to the road, you know, the county road, to find out about getting it done, I inquired, well, if all of us put in the money, can we get it done then? And he said, we don't do that anymore. We don't allow for that. That's the answer I got. Now then, we went ahead and I said, well, what do we have to do? And he instructed me. He said, you have to go to every landowner and every homeowner and get them to sign an agreement to get their deeds. I paid a $45 fee. And then he said, then we'll go to work. Well, then when we waited and waited and waited, nothing was done, we inquired again, and they said, well, we don't have enough money. We don't have the money.
Well, yeah,
And that was in 2007. And everybody signed on that. We had a notary public and paid for that, and we're still sitting in this road that continually the farmer comes down with the tractor and grades it and puts more stone down.
Sure.
But then it gets the potholes. You can't ride your bike on stuff. You can't walk on it that good. And you can't travel on it that good. And people with new cars, they just creep down the road.
Well, this is something, like I said, we've got information here as far as the council goes, and obviously the commissioners have been.
One other question.
Sure.
And what's as far as the policy of where you pick up the stone from which quarry? Is it just the closest one?
Usually the closest.
The closest one. Okay.
I was going to say, usually you take bids from all the quarries surrounding the county, in the county or surrounding the county to be able to.
Would there be a way to least cost, even if you're 2 miles closer to a more expensive quarry, to least cost the gravel and say, you know what, those extra 2 miles, if I can go save $1.50 a ton.
We do that on some.
Do you?
Some
Okay.
Okay.
I have one question. Is that wet gravel or dry gravel that they're hauling?
You'll have to, Ed, I'm assuming it's
Depends on the time of the year and
Yeah.
the weather's raining.
Yeah, depends
All
on
the
what
piles
weather-
are outside,
Yeah.
so.
Whatever the weather does. So. Well, again, we've got information here for what you brought, and we appreciate that, Todd, and appreciate Blake and Ed.
And whatever feedback you get, please let me know.
Sure.
My phone number is a public number, so please let me know.
Well, it's, like I said, it's a good
If there's input,
conversation.
I would appreciate hearing
we're here
about
to
it.
try to serve everybody and let everybody have an opportunity to comment on it. So. Okay.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Appreciate it. Very thorough. Very thorough. Thank you.
Do you have something, Mr. Post?
Really loaded up. Several years ago, when we started the wheel tax, I had my nose in the middle of that. And I think Todd maybe hit the nail on the head. And this ain't politically correct either. Hit the nail on the head. Where is the 2.6 or 2.9 million that's geared for the road? I know we heard all the other stories, and I bet all the people in here would like to know that. And it's time to get that agenda set straight. Let's put the money where it goes to rebuilding the road. And it's add to that. I came in here years ago, the commission committee years ago, and it was brought up, and I made a comment about a gentleman that's been deceased for years, and his comment was, and I will share that one-on-one here if I have to, and I did not know this gentleman. This came down the true story. My road in Wells County. He come in to the county and said, I want my road chip and seal or paved or improved. And they told him they had no money. Now, this is exactly what we heard tonight. We heard last week, 2 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Clear on back to this guy, I think it was RS. And when he asked, there was no money. That was 1936. There is never no money until you people, the county, whoever you are, decides to make it a priority. Until then, it'll never get done because it's not a priority. Where is the 2.9 million that people are here? Am I right or wrong, people? That's what we want to know. What money is coming out of my pocket? And I'm the one that was part of that from the very beginning. So you can blame me, but don't blame me, people, because I asked Senator Ford one time when they give the roadway up north or rented it out, I said, I want the paper trail. And it's kind of the same thing. We want the paper trail. Where is the $2.9 million that's supposed to be spent on the road, period? But until you change the mindset of this county, we are never going to go forward with this issue. You have to want to do something. It's like Grant County. I think it's 100% paved, I think, for almost 50 years now. I don't like Grant County. I used to live there. That ain't the thing. But their people made it a priority, and they're done. Now, I know the roads are a mess and all that. I hear all kinds of stories. But until this county don't make it a priority, it's never going to get done. It will be back in next year, the same old, same old, same old, same old. I've been out here for 40-some years, and it's the same old, same old, same old, same old. And so, to me, you people and the commissioners and whoever run this county need to sit down and listen to people. I could give you all kinds of ideas. You know, I've been retired for over 25 years, and I can tell you all kinds of things I can save money on. You know, one thing is waste and improper use of the money. Now, I'm going to give this for the last example, and I don't mean this personally, but there's a person sitting in here, for example, lives on a gravel road, and every road that this person travels is all paved until they get to this 1 mile gravel road. And that person is part of the county. And that's what I call waste. Because we're paying people to drive out there and scrape the gravel around for that 1 mile, and everything else is paved all around it. So you're wasting money, you're wasting time and effort, and wearing out tractors. There have been like 5 tractors since I've been on my mile for 40-some years that are wore out for shoving gravel around. And until your mindset is clear, you're going to shove gravel around for the next 100 years. And you have to do some serious thinking. You need to appoint, and I don't mean this to be a smart. I didn't come here to be some kind of hero. I'm saying it as a citizen of this county. I hate to see waste, period. And we got to change, you guys, not maybe you personally, the mindset of how we do things. And I can just give you a list that goes on and on and on that I've observed for 25 years of retirement of waste and ignorance. That's what it is.
Well, we have information
Thank
here,
you.
so you're welcome.
Thank you.
Well, is there any other miscellaneous business?
I don't have any. I did provide you with the 1782 notice that
Yes, sir.
came, so you guys can review that. If you have any questions, let me know on that. So I haven't really looked at it that closely yet, but I will review it and respond within the 10 days.
You don't need us to individually sign that concurrent?
No, I will sign it as a fiscal officer, and I'll review it. But if anybody has any comments, please let me know. So that way I can.
It's a very important sheet,
Yeah.
though, because
Yeah.
what's signed here determines how we're funded for the year.
For the year.
And one time there was, not on Beth's watch, there was a case in which decimal was at the wrong spot.
Can
and
we
it was
please?
costly.
Can we please hold the comments? We're still holding business here.
So it is important to look it over.
Yeah, make sure you review it, and I did review it. The budget is coming through for what we did request. There was no cuts there, so we're good. But it does give you all the information. All the information on that also provides us with what we will need for any additional appropriations if they're needed for the year and stuff. So it's probably the most important thing that we will use. So
good.
please review it, and
Okay.
I'll do the same and make sure we respond within the 10 days.
Well, I'd like to thank everybody for attending here this evening. And do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Thank you.